Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Meena every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today we have with us Mohandas Pai. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Viewers are looking forward to hearing from you on the latest
Thank you.
issues.
Thank you.
Yeah. So after the farm laws were repealed and with regards to this man, Tikait, the man who's been gaining momentum, wants the MSP law to be brought in. More than concern for genuine farmers, their agenda is to destabilize the nation. There are a whole lot of farmers who want the law to remain, but they seem to be a silent majority. And BJP didn't mobilize their forces, perhaps due to Punjab election and based on captain's advice, or also perhaps importantly because of security reasons with the Khalistani's sinister designs. But now Tikait is threatening to have a much bigger agitation on 26th January. What's your assessment of the situation, and how do you think the government should tackle this?
You see, Tikait is a big bully. And I think a lot of people in Delhi, including the courts, have fallen into the trap of this bully who
Yes.
comes with 100,000 farmers
Yes.
and threatens that he'll stop the country with a misplaced opinion about his own power. The government was not willing to see him in the eye for various reasons. And I think what made Prime Minister Modi back down was the fact that it is becoming a Hindu-Sikh issue. The Sikh community was under the false propaganda that Hindus are against them, they're going after them, taking away the land, blah, blah, blah. And it seems to have gained currency. And the propaganda from the Khalistanis and other elements, including Pakistan, was very high. So to buy peace, I think Prime Minister said wisely that he'll withdraw the 3 laws. Now the ground has been cut for under Tikait's feet. So what are the issues that Tikait is talking about? As far as the MSP is concerned, 90% of paddy in Punjab and Haryana is purchased by the government of India. What else do they grow? Wheat is purchased by the government of India. MSP purchases are not a big issue in the Punjab and Haryana. They're an issue in Bihar, they're an issue in MP and other places who grow other cereals like jowar, bajra, etc., where the prices are lower than the MSP. As far as wheat and paddy are concerned, I think Punjab and Haryana are enjoying the benefits. In fact, today, the Telangana Chief Minister has threatened that he will come and take 500 tons of paddy and burn it in front of the house and dump in parliament, all kind of stuff, because he's saying you are not purchasing 90% like you do for the Punjab. Why are you not doing it? So there are many issues. And I think, there's something that needs to be solved. Quite frankly, Meena, if you look at the agricultural sector of the economy, it is something like 35, 36 lakh crores every year. It's only 17% of GDP.
Yes.
But 41% of people depend on that. Now, out of the 17% of GDP, cereals, that is wheat and paddy or rice, are only 6 lakh crores. They're a very small part of the whole thing. In fact, animal husbandry is 7 to 8 lakh crores. Fruits and vegetables are 7 to 8 lakh crores. Then other cereals make up about 5 to 6 lakh crores. And the balance is sugarcane and other things. So cereals are a very small part of the agriculture GDP. And Government of India spends 2.5, 3 lakh crores in buying up the cereals.
Yes.
So majority quantum is bought over, right?
Yeah.
Now, cereals have declined from 55% of agriculture GDP to 45% today. Out of the 45%, rice and wheat are only 27%. So you're talking to a small group of farmers who have threatened the country for various reasons. But Meena, I would urge you to look at one important issue. Now, there are 100,000, they say there are 100,000 farmers squatting all over the place all the time. You agree with me?
Yeah.
You may get a number. How much do you think it costs for supporting one farmer with the stay, food 3 times and everything else? 500 rupees a day?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is anybody's guess? So 500 rupees a day for 1 lakh is 5 crores a day.
Yeah.
Who gave the money for 1,800 crores?
Yeah.
Did the middlemen give it? The brokers gave it? Who gave money to Ticket? I think the government of India and the government should find out how much money came from the Khalistanis in Canada, how much money came from the ISI and other people. Where did the money come from? They must follow the money trails to expose these people.
I think
Because
that's what they've been doing.
I don't know. I have not seen any data. Even the CAA, where they're agitating, I mean, how much money was being spent? You can calculate yourself how much it costs to have one person fed 3 times a day. How many people are there? You can calculate and say, where are the money coming from? I mean, there's a limit to the money that can be collected. Can these rich farmers put up all the money? 1,800 crores is not funny. And remember, it's all savings. And there is no assurance that they will get any returns. Correct? There is no assurance they get any returns. They're spending that money. Now that Ticket's feet has been cut from under, the ground has been cut from under his feet, is threatening and is postponing it to 26th January because there is another 2 months. So you postpone it as far as possible, keep it going. And his intention, to my mind, is very clear.
Yeah.
And it is possibly poisoned by Yogendra Yadav. My view is Yogendra Yadav started a farmers' party called Swaraj or something, right?
Yes.
It's a misplaced notion that is the savior of the farmers because he thinks he's the brightest people on the farm economy in the country.
Yeah.
And he had no following. And after he lost the election, he accused the farmers of not supporting him and being in all kind of people, right? Very arrogant fellow.
Yeah.
Now, he must have put into Ticket's head, farmers are the largest number of voters, 60% of population farmers, which is not correct, 40 police, only 40%. They'll all support you all over. They need to see a leader. See, Modi, with the 37% of voting, became prime minister. Why can't you form a farmers' party? So have an agitation, get farmers there and sit down there, and you can become prime minister. You can start a political party. So Ticket is doing, I think, all this nautakari only to get involved in the elections and try to create a political party of the so-called farmers. And if you look at the Punjab, the largest number of small and marginal farmers are from the scheduled caste community. I think scheduled caste are 36% of the population.
Yeah.
They're ill-treated by the rest of the Sikhs. Even the Sikhs have a caste system.
Yeah.
So I think there are many issues there, which I think somebody as brilliant as you has to analyze and break up the entire community and see who is doing this, what is happening. And I think it's all linked to the UP elections. At the UP elections now, we see an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Akhilesh Yadav is joining with the app and joining with that Muslim party from Hyderabad, the Razakar party, to come together because he feels Muslims are 15-16%. And if they all vote for him, he will get their vote. And then the Yadavs are maybe 9%. That's 24%. He has to get another 5-6% and he will squeak through. So these are all electoral calculation that everybody is trying. And I think it's all linked to that. That's why it's prolonged for so long.
Yeah.
And remember, despite having 8 or 10 meetings with the government, the farmers never came with point-by-point analysis of the formula. They said, scrap it, scrap it, scrap it, scrap it. I don't know how many of them read it or understood in the first place to argue on merit. Anyway, it's all over. Now, Prime Minister Modi has said he'll form a committee. I think what is important for the country is to have a very comprehensive understanding of what needs to be done. Now, there are some issues. First of all, the country spends 6 to 7 lakh crores every year on food subsidy and subsidies to farmers. For example, the fertilizer subsidy is 1 lakh crore this year. Food subsidy is 2.5 lakh crore. Power subsidy is 1 lakh crore. That is 4.5 lakh crores. And then that Marega program is 1 lakh crore. That is 5.5 lakh crore because it goes for rural labor. And then you have the interest subsidy for them, interest-free loan, 50,000. That is 6 lakh crores, right? And then you have water subsidy because they get free water from irrigation all over the country.
Yeah.
And the water also is free. It costs money to maintain the water supply. That's 1 lakh crore. That's about 7 lakh crores. And all that goes to the so-called farmers and some for poor people. So now with this kind of money that is going into the farmers' economy, it's important for a committee to come up. Now, there are some issues. For example, if you grow bajra, you grow other dry grains and oil seeds, many times you're not getting the MSP. And we are told that in Bihar, farmers for rice and wheat are not getting the MSP. And I don't know whether farmers in West Bengal are getting the MSP. But Mamata Banerjee will not agitate on that because she has to put in money from the state.
Yeah.
So she will not agitate. She'll support the farmers of Punjab who are already getting MSP.
Mm.
So the complex issues, so I'm sure Prime Minister Modi will form a committee, invite them.
Mm.
And I'm sure also the farmers will not sit on the committee.
Yeah.
Because they sit on the committee and they start thinking logically, it will undermine the agitation. See, because Yogendra Yadav must have taught them, or somebody taught them, or the leftists would have taught them, oh, we are the largest part of the country, the government should talk to us directly. But
Yeah.
are they the true representatives of all the farmers in the country? They're not.
Yeah.
They're mainly the Sikh farmers and the Jat farmers, right?
Mm.
So there is a problem and it's still unresolved, but it will continue because till the UP elections.
Yeah. But also, see, in between, the government is caught between the Supreme Court and these so-called farmers. Supreme Court says remove all these people from the streets protesting, remove them. So government can't go here or there because of these two reasons, and of course the security reasons as well, because Punjab is connected to Pakistan. So things can come
Meena,
freely
my
in.
view is very simple. The courts have failed us in this particular case. Even the CAA case, they were all squatting on the public roads.
Yes.
The Supreme Court should have passed a judgment to say everybody has got a right to protest. You have no right to close the roads.
Yes.
If there are big festivals, some agitation, 1 or 2 days is fine, but you can't squat on it for a year.
Yes.
The Supreme Court never took a tough stand. They sent
Yes.
a committee of lawyers to go meet to the agitators of CAA. For what reason, nobody knows.
Yeah.
If the Supreme Court does not pronounce on the law and say, we'll set up a committee, we'll study and negotiate, which is the job of the government, what do you expect will happen in this country?
Yeah.
The role of the Supreme Court, as per the Constitution, is to interpret the law and enforce the rule of law. Where was the rule of law enforced by the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court should steer clear of setting up committees, negotiating with people, finding out, and just pronounce on the law. For example, even on Article 370, 35A, the Supreme Court has still not pronounced it.
Yeah.
They've still not heard it. Why can't they hear the constitutional matter, which is very urgent, and rule on that? So Supreme Court also set up the committee, and the committee gave the report. They should release the report of the committee. Report is still not released. Why is it not released? See, in my view, judicial activism has taken up very, very high levels.
Yes.
And even if you see the statements of some of the judges in the open court, some of the statements should not be made because, if the court does not respect the government, which is legitimately elected.
Exactly.
See, we must understand, Parliament reflects the sovereign voice of the people. You and I are sovereign. The country belongs to us. Power resides with us. We elect Parliament. Parliament is sovereign. Supreme Court is not sovereign.
Yeah.
Supreme Court is a constitutional body under the Constitution whose job is very specific to interpret the law, not to make the law.
Yeah.
But they've also been making the law in the guise of interpreting. So now, by getting involved in all this, pronouncing, making some statements, I think they are opening themselves up to criticism, which is maybe valid. And in fact, the President of India, at the head of the state, has said very clearly that they must be very cautious about making statements in open court about the government, because the government cannot give it back to them.
Yeah.
The government cannot give it back to them. The government should not. And even in Parliament, they made a statement about Parliament. The Chief Justice made a statement that Parliament should function better. How will you interpret the law if the debate doesn't take place, blah, blah, blah. It is true that the debate has not taken place. It's true, but he must not make such statements in an open forum. Because if he does that, then all the parliamentarians are very upset.
Yes, and their hands are tied.
India is the only country in the world, where judges appoint themselves.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind that. I don't want to talk about it in public. There's a story behind that too. They appoint themselves. How can it happen? Because you can't be above the law.
Yeah.
You can't be above the law. The will of the people is expressed in Parliament. In Parliament, we elect a government, and the government appoints the judges. And once the judges are appointed by the government in consultation with Chief Justice, that is the Constitution, then they have to be independent and interpret the Constitution. They're not obliged to the government or to Parliament.
Yeah.
But the appointment has to be done by the government of the day.
Yes.
And if the government makes a wrong appointment, that is fine. You can't strike it down because it's the right to the government. Because the government represents you and me.
Yeah.
Now, there is a very big constitutional problem which has to be solved. And it can only be solved if Parliament says very clearly, we are the sovereign voice of the people of the country, and this is the constitutional mandate. Now, the
Yeah.
Supreme Court has interpreted the Constitution to say that we have a collegium. There's no collegium in the Constitution. Even in the Constitutional Assembly debates, which happened 1947 to 1949, there is no mention of the collegium.
Yeah.
It only says, in consultation of Chief Justice, if I remember rightly. So there is a problem. There is judicial overreach in the country.
Yes.
And judicial overreach is very damaging.
Yeah.
So I think we as citizens have to debate this. Juries have to stand up and debate.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things have to be set right.
Yeah. So there are two questions. One is from Nisha Thomas. She says, can you ask Mohandas ji what are his views on taxing agricultural income? Asking this on behalf of Meera. So this is Nisha Thomas.
My view, Meena, is very clear. Agricultural, any income above a certain level has to be taxed.
Yeah.
Now, as per the scheme of the Constitution, agricultural income is to be taxed by the states.
Yeah.
And the states have generally given up the right to tax agricultural income. Yeah. See, the British government took away 50% of the produce of the land and impoverished the farmers by land revenue.
Yes.
And after independence, India gave it up because they said we can't impoverish the farmers. So the deliberate policy to impoverish the farmers, who had the largest 70-80% of the population.
Yeah.
Now what has happened, there are 10% of farmers who are very rich, who won a lot of money. And a lot of politicians have got farmed because they say we are farmers, and they whitewash black money and bribe money.
Yeah.
In fact, all of them who declare income above things should be taxed. Maybe we need a constitutional agreement. Why should somebody who declares 1 crore agricultural income get away with that? While the rest of us earning 5-6 lakhs, how to pay income tax? Where is the equity? Where is the justice? There is no justice.
Yeah.
And none of the politicians will agree to a law because all of them are involved. All of them say we got farm income, we got this income. But what we need, Meena, and maybe you should ask some MPs to place a question in Parliament.
Yeah.
We must ask the government of India, tell us how much income has been declared by income tax filers on the head agricultural income, because they have to declare it for rate purposes. It's not taxable, they have to declare it. And we must ask how many people are declared about 10 lakhs a year? How many are declared more than 1 crore? How many are declared more than 5 crores? Let them at least put this information to the public.
Yes.
They're not even releasing this information. I hope some of our MPs, maybe you should ask some MPs to place a question in the House. So the finance minister will give all these details to all of us.
Yeah.
Because every citizen has to pay tax. Above a certain level, you have to pay tax. The poorest of the poor, when they buy some goods, they pay some tax.
Yeah.
So what is the difficulty for the rich farmers to pay some tax?
Yeah, absolutely. Second question is by Maya Jagannathan. She says, Mr. Pai, how do you think Taket should deal with it? Which approach, hard or soft, will work on him? Modi ji must be listening to views of people like you.
See, the Taket should be handled politically because the political movement.
Yeah.
You cannot arrest him. You can't have violence because he'll instigate violence against the state.
Yes.
And it will become a very big issue and, it may go out of control. So you've got to handle it carefully. The only way is to expose him in public. So public support diminishes. The only way is to make sure the farmers' genuine grievances are taken care of. So he has no case to agitate.
Yeah.
And to expose him for what he is, an opportunity. It has to be handled very politically. These are all political challenges which have to be handled. This cannot be handled otherwise.
Yeah.
When that Lakshmipur Kera something happened, when 3 or 4 farmers were run over, which is very sad.
Yeah.
The farmers caught some few people and beat them to death. Now that is murder.
Yes.
But the media is not talking about it. First thing, what happened was the running over of people is a crime and people have to be punished. But, farmers in cold blood catching people and beating them. You got the videos of them pleading for their lives.
Yes.
And deliberately beating them. That is cold-blooded murder. Why is the media not talking about it, holding them accountable?
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that. They're all talking, farmers got run over, this and that, making a big issue. What about those poor people who are killed?
Yeah.
Does the farmer have a right to kill somebody? Whatever happened, nobody has the right to kill anybody, right? It's the failure of the law and order in this country, the failure of the justice system, failure of the media, that we are not holding people accountable. Everybody should be held accountable. The most important thing in any country is rule of law. Where is the rule of law? If the
Yeah.
media compromises, all these people compromise. And
Yeah.
the media is so selective and one-sided that is
Yeah.
very shameful.
Maya is asking, what is your take on CJI Ramana asking agencies to control the criticism of common man on social media about judiciary?
Well, my personal view is the CJ should not have made the statement, because all of us respect the courts and the
Yes.
judges, but the courts are not beyond criticism. We have a right under the Constitution to criticize the judgments of the court. And like a famous jury said, the court is supreme because there's no more court above it.
Yeah.
The court is not supreme because they're the last word on everything. They're also
Yes.
human beings like us. They
Yes.
interpret. They can be wrong. Remember, in the emergency, they said the habeas corpus does not exist in the emergency.
Yeah.
Same court, same Supreme Court. Habeas corpus is a very fundamental right which can never be taken away. They said
Yeah.
habeas corpus doesn't exist in emergency.
Yes.
So we are all victims of a tyrannical government. And how did they protect us? They didn't protect us. Then they took it back later. They took it back later by the Keshavananda Bharati case, where they said the basic structure of the Constitution cannot be amended and all that. So they have created a straitjacket. But it was a very bad thing that happened, and the court let us down during that period of time in emergency when people are being arrested. Habeas corpus should have always have been there. But that being the case, the CJ saying that go after these people, these trolls, I think he shouldn't have done it, because you can't control social media.
Yeah.
And the more you try to control social media, the more you'll be exposed. We know that.
Yes.
Nobody can control social media.
Yeah.
No government, no Twitter, nobody can control.
Yes.
Right? Are they able to control all the jihadis spewing poison? They're cutting them out, but it still exists.
Yeah.
So I think the Supreme Court just should not have done it, because it shows weakness.
Yes.
They should have just ignored it and live with it. Because, how many people will see the criticism of the court? Very few people.
Yes.
Right? Everybody is not on Twitter. Now, everybody in the country knows it because all over the media. Media has a bigger reach than Twitter.
Yeah.
Correct? So I think it is, my personal opinion is that it is wrong to have made the statement.
Yeah. Meanwhile, sir, in Rajya Sabha, 12 opposition MPs have been suspended for the rest of the winter session for disruptions in Rajya Sabha during the monsoon session. But see, there are some rules that they need to follow, sir. They haven't been doing that. What we saw in the winter session of Parliament was terrible. Both houses saw disruptions as Lok Sabha passed the bill repealing the 3 farm laws without any discussion. And Rajya Sabha passed it after a brief intervention by a leader of opposition, Kharge. After that, Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Prahlad Joshi, sought the approval of the House for suspending 12 Rajya Sabha MPs, 6 of the Congress, 2 each of the Trinamool Congress and Shiv Sena, and 1 each of CPI and CPIM for the remainder of the session. The reason for their suspension was the unprecedented acts of misconduct, contemptuous, unruly, and violent behavior, and intentional attacks on security personnel on the last day of the monsoon session. Now, sir, MPs are required to adhere to certain rules of parliamentary etiquette. For example, the Lok Sabha rule book specifies that MPs are not to interrupt the speech of others, maintain silence, and not obstruct proceedings by hissing or making running commentaries during debates. Newer forms of protest led to these rules being updated in 1989. Now, members should not shout slogans, display placards, tear up documents in protest, and play a cassette or a tape recorder in the House. Rajya Sabha has similar rules to conduct the proceedings smoothly. The rule book also gives certain similar powers to the presiding officers of both houses. So, can you comment about this? And all these people, after doing that, they say that, see, they've been treated unfairly.
Meena, how can it be unfair? You disrupted the House.
Yeah.
We sent you to the House to debate, not to disrupt. There was hooliganism in the House. There was violence in the House. And there was a bad example here that they tore up the papers, threw it on the presiding officer. This is no decorum of the House. They have an obligation to maintain the decorum of the House.
Yes.
This is hooliganism on all their part. They should be identified and done it. Meena, you'll be surprised. I think in the Maharashtra Assembly, some 12, 13 MLAs have been suspended for 1 year.
Yeah.
Even the Bengal Assembly, some people have been suspended. So the very common thing for a legislative assembly to suspend members who are not following protocol, who are not following the process, and have indulging in rowdy behavior.
Yeah.
So I think the behavior was visible to everybody. And you can't manhandle people. Now, if you manhandle somebody, a woman handles somebody, or whatever it is, outside the house, is it not a criminal offense?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the house, you get protection for only your speech,
Yes.
for a criticism, not for any
Yeah.
physical violence.
Yes.
Physical violence, there is no, forgiveness for anybody, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's important for them to understand. And, I saw Mallikarjuna Kharge said, oh, it happened earlier, you are doing illegal things. I don't know what is illegal about it. Because one, it happened earlier, they had an inquiry, they made everything else, they released the report, all that evidence is there. And so it is not retrospective, because the judgment of any crime is always prospective and goes
Yeah.
back retrospective to the event.
Yeah.
And two, it was a decision of the House.
Yeah.
Now, people say that in the Rajya Sabha, the opposition has more votes than the government.
Yeah.
Why didn't all of them come and vote and say no?
Yeah.
Why didn't they overrule it? The motion was put to the House. It was carried by the House. That
Yeah.
means it's the opinion of the majority opinion of the House, they should be suspended. It's a
Yes.
sovereign decision of a sovereign body.
Yeah.
So what are they saying? That, oh, we'll do it. Now they'll come and threaten, we'll boycott the House. Then they will say, India is not democratic. That the whole idea is that India is not democratic and malign India. Let them do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think the government should stand up and say, there is no place for hooliganism. There is no
Yeah.
place for violence in the House, and the rule
Yeah.
of law shall prevail, and the procedure established by Parliament should prevail.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy Venkaiah Naidu, the the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, took a very, very
Yeah.
principled stand and put them in the place.
Yeah.
I think it's very correct that he must do it, because he is the person who runs the House.
Yes.
And his decision is final.
Yes. So recently I was listening to Dr. Swami's discussion with MRB and Monu Nalapat. Dr. Swami says the rate of growth of 9% is not the actual rate of growth. He says since 2016, the rate of growth of the country has been going down, and there must be a negative growth to the extent of almost 24%. So the present growth of 9% compared to the growth of last year is not the real growth. Please tell us your views on our economic situation, sir.
Meena, the Central Statistical Organization releases a 20-page document giving details of the growth of every sector of the economy every quarter. I would like Dr. Swami to study that and come with his criticism based on data. Anybody can make any claim, oh, that is not the growth rate, this is the growth rate. What is the data to say that you are correct?
Yeah, to support that.
The data is released. Otherwise, you release your own data, calculate your own data and say what it is. This year, tax collections are up 40%.
Yeah.
Okay? This is not funny.
Yeah.
Why will people pay tax, more tax by 40%? The economy is not doing well.
Yeah.
You understand? So this is a real, genuine growth.
Yeah.
Yes, during the pandemic, many people have been hurt. I would have been happy if the Prime Minister has said that every person who died will be given 4 lakh compensation.
Yeah.
It would have cost some 17,000 crores.
Yeah.
On a budget of nearly 30 lakh crores, it is very small. You should have done it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't do it. Or the Supreme Court pushed them, said 50,000 rupees, 60,000 rupees, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Because compassion should be shown to people.
Yeah.
And it is a time of great agony for people, because so many middle class people, so many lower middle class people went to hospitals, sent their entire life savings. They've been devastated.
Yes.
And no, they got not any compensation. So I think there is a need for the government also to introspect and to make sure, because they're spending so much of money, it makes no difference. That 15, 20,000 crores makes no difference to the government. They should have done that. So I think, if Dr. Swami should publish data, and then, that it can be a debate. But anybody saying, no, that growth is not there, is much less than that, how can you answer the question?
Yeah. So in the latest developments, Parag Agarwal is among the top 10 Indian origin CEOs heading the world's biggest tech firms, namely Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella. Parag Agarwal being named as the new Twitter CEO after incumbent Jack Dorsey announced to part ways with the microblogging site reveals that India has prominently climbed up the corporate ladders globally. Parag, an IIT Bombay graduate who took over as Twitter's new CEO from Jack Dorsey, would be paid a $1 million annual salary plus bonuses. The company stated in a filing with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. In addition, he will get $12.5 million in restricted stock units that will be transferred in 16 equal quarterly increments beginning February 1st, 2022. We have a whole lot of Indian educated CEOs in top market cap US companies, like Parag now. While we can be proud of that fact, when you view it from a different angle, like we educate them in highly subsidized educational institutions like IIT, IIM, etc., and then hand them over to the US to benefit that nation. Why is India unable to retain them? PM talks of ease of doing business, but qualified Indians like Parag don't want to work in India. Any suggestion to our PM regarding stopping this brain drain?
Mina, you and I are free citizens of a free country.
Yeah.
Okay? We have every right to stay in this country, stay in any state, or go to any other country and work.
Yeah.
Okay? So people are exercising the right to go outside.
Yeah.
The only point is, if this country has given me a free subsidized education, I must repay that. That is my moral obligation.
Yeah.
Apart from that, if I go somewhere and I do very well, we can applaud them. I have nothing to say against them, because I believe every Indian, every citizen has the right to stay anywhere in any part of the world. But coming from a poor country, if you got a subsidized education, you must pay it back. Maybe what you can do is, he should give scholarship to 5 people in the IITs or somewhere, so that 5 more people get educated. He's got the benefit. And remember, he got the benefit from the taxes of everybody, including poor people. We are a poor country.
Yeah.
There have been so many women who have died in childbirth because of lack of medical care. So many children who have died because of malnutrition. So many people have died in poverty, right? The money could have been spent on them instead of educating these people in IITs to go outside. I have no objection to people going outside.
Yeah.
And as an Indian staying here, I will applaud them and wish them all the best. That's all. I'm very proud of people who go to the US and become CEOs. I am honestly indifferent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. I was in Chicago about 4 years ago in the World Hindu Economic Global Conference, started by Swami Vijnananda.
Yeah.
So we had gone there. There was a panel with NRIs. And there was one NRI who came and said, oh, India, nothing works. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all kind of criticism. And I got very angry. And I told him, Arey Bhaiya, you are nothing but an economic refugee. You left this country for better economic prospects. You are left. It is fine. I'm okay. Don't preach to us. Don't preach to us. We are what we are. We stayed back in this country. We fought the battle. We lived in poverty and deprivation. We paid our taxes. We are building this country. If you want to advise us, fine. Don't point fingers at us. You want to come and work and show what you can do in this country. It's very easy for others to say, oh, we did it. Yes, you did it. Good for you. But, we have a pride in what we did.
Yeah.
We stayed back. Yeah. I stayed back and worked in this country for 40 years.
Yeah.
I paid my taxes every single year to my nose.
Yes.
I've not got much for my taxes. But I don't crib. Whatever I earn, a large part, I give it away. Because I love my country. Like you, we're all patriotic and nationalists. We love our country.
Yeah.
And we have suffered with low income for many years, where you could have got outside. There's nothing wrong in going outside, but don't preach, don't point fingers. For example, people like the Kaushik Basu, Arvind Subramanian, they write nasty articles about India. What have they done for this country? They want to destroy the brand of India built by people like us who stayed back. What do? Raghuram Rajan comes and pours cold water on us, making all kind of nasty remarks. You should shut up. If you can't help your country who are left behind, which has helped you grow, why should you come and do this? Now, the bigger question, what can we do to put them back? See, Mina, our economy is not big enough to give them the opportunity they want. Till the economy becomes big enough, they will go outside. It's fine. So we cannot ban them. We should not ban them. We should not say, if you go abroad, pay us back. I don't think so. That's not correct. They must have a moral obligation to pay us back. So we should just sit quiet and try to grow the economy, so people feel it is in their economic interest to stay in the country and earn. Correct? It's in their economic interest. It's fine. We're all free people of a free country. So I think it's very important to understand the concepts. I wish them all the best, but I'm not going to beat my chest and say, hey, Indian CEOs, hey, we are the greatest. I'm not going to say that. Neither am I going to cry and say, oh, all the best people went away. I think a lot of the best people stayed back in this country and built this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
You heard of so many professors who went to the United States, got their PhDs, came back and served in schools and colleges and slogged their butts out for very many years, correct?
Yeah.
So many people have done that. It's a
Yeah.
choice that you make.
Yeah.
You make your choices, but don't
Yeah.
preach to us once you make the choice.
Yeah.
You understand? Don't preach to us. Okay, we're not going to be humiliated by you by saying,
Yeah.
oh, you are bad, you are this, you can't do this. Rubbish.
Yeah. I think you've already answered this. KB is asking, Mohandas Ji, how do you awaken the conscience of such economic refugees to pay back to the nation after benefiting during their early years of life?
Well, I don't know what to do. I think it's up to them to demonstrate their love for the country and to do that.
Yeah.
That's all. And I think it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
what else can you do? See,
Yeah.
Mina, I respect them for the choices. We all make choices.
Yeah.
We are free people. Nobody can tell you, why did you do this? Nobody can question us. We are free
Yeah.
people, right? But all of us have a moral obligation. For example, Mina, we have a moral obligation to a family. We must take care of everybody in the family who's not well now. We have a moral obligation to a society. We must contribute to the betterment of society. Am I right or not?
Yes.
We must do community service. Don't you do it, Mina?
Yeah.
You're running a media channel. You're spending your time and money. I mean, you're doing community service, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for them to understand, and very important for Indians here to stand up and say, we are fighting the battle and building this country. Don't abuse us. We'll give it back to them.
Yeah. So what's happening with regards to Maharashtra? We were surprised by the meeting between ex-Mumbai CP Paramveer Singh and ex-Mumbai API Sachin Vaze. The Home Minister Dilip Walse Patil on Tuesday deemed the meeting wrong, stating that no one was allowed to meet when in judicial custody. Patil said that the probe ordered by the Mumbai police will reveal more. The two disgraced cops met on Monday close to a chamber near the Chandival Commission while appearing before the panel. After 231 days of hiding, Paramveer Singh joined the investigation in multiple extortion cases against him in Mumbai. Landing in Mumbai from Chandigarh, he was grilled by the Mumbai Police Crime Branch for 7 hours. The Supreme Court has granted him interim protection from arrest and directed him to join and cooperate with the investigation. Previously, Singh was believed to have fled India and was proclaimed an absconder by a Mumbai court. How do you assess the situation in Maharashtra? How can a police officer go missing so easily? Was he not on the radar? And the way he returns is also as if nothing really happened. What is this game that he's playing?
Mina, is a mockery of law and order. It's a mockery of the rule of law. It's a mockery of a constitution for a police commissioner who's supposed to enforce the law to go missing and the police not able to find him.
Yeah.
Isn't it a mockery?
Yes.
And I think the court should have taken a very strict stand to say, as a police officer, you are a government servant, you have an obligation. They should have had him arrested and put in jail.
Yeah.
And not given him protection from the court.
Yes.
From the center. They should not have given him any protection.
Yeah.
Because he's a proclaimed offender.
Yeah.
I don't know why the courts have been considerate towards him. I don't know. They shouldn't have been done. Because to my mind, what is the example you're setting for people? That you can disobey the law, you can run away, you can do many things, and you can always come back like a hero, and nothing will happen to you. Where is the respect for the rule of law?
Yeah.
And the courts are supposed to enforce the rule of law. The government is supposed to enforce the rule of law. It is a mystery as to what is happening, why it is happening.
Yeah.
It is, in my mind, a total negation of what the constitution of this country stands for.
Yeah.
And it's so shocking. I don't think any fiction writer could have imagined a police commissioner can go missing for so long and become a proclaimed offender, right? A police commissioner.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's very sad, Meena. I think the BJP made a political blunder.
Yeah.
Because, in my view, they should have compromised with the Shiv Sena and allow them to become the CM and retain power.
Yeah.
Now, by allowing two other parties to come into power, they have just given them an opportunity to build up great resources for the next election.
Yes.
If they are not part of the government, they won't be able to have access to resources.
Yeah.
And you could have tried for them next time, right?
Yes.
So I think it's been a very big political blunder, and you can see the that Maharashtra is going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's a very sad thing because Maharashtra is the leading economic state in the country.
So Nisha Thomas is asking, please ask Mohandas ji what are his views on the stand-up comedian Veer Das?
Veer Das is an idiot. You know, Veer Das has a habit of making statements which are not funny.
Yeah.
And sadly, people applaud him for the statements. And what he did abroad was unforgiving, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, Meena, whatever difference we have in this country, whatever our views are, when we go outside the country as Indians, we have to uphold the respect for the country.
Yeah.
I remember a very big economist and a relative of the ruling party circles, when I criticized the government for corruption in the Chatham House debate, she called me aside and said, Mohan, when you go abroad, don't do this.
Yeah.
I was being honest because there's corruption, there's public and all that.
Yeah.
But she said, don't do this, even though we are debating under Chatham House rules, where you can say what you want.
Yeah.
And she told me that, look, you are an Indian. When you go abroad, whatever be the wrongs in your country, you have an obligation. So I think he crossed the line and he lied.
Yeah.
He lied. I mean, all the statements he made, you know, he lied. And I think he should be prosecuted by somebody in the court for the statement that he made. In the morning, you know, I belong to a India where one section in the morning worship women and then gang rape in the night.
Yeah.
You must tell us who are those people who worship women in the morning and gang rape in the night.
Yeah.
Now, of all the communities in this country, who are the one who worship the divine feminine? Is the Hindus.
Yes.
So all of us gang rape in the night. Is it the 50% of the population gang rape women in the night? Is it? Can anybody make such a statement?
Yeah.
Have any sense?
Yeah.
And for Shashi Tharoor and others to make a silly statement, oh, it's freedom of speech. What freedom? It's freedom of speech. Tomorrow, he makes a similar statement about Shashi Tharoor. Will Shashi agree to that? He has maligned all of us.
Yes.
By making the statement.
Yeah.
I think the only way to pay it back for all well-meaning Indians to make sure that they don't hire him.
Yeah.
And they don't use his service at all and put him in his place.
Yes.
See, I'm all for freedom of speech.
Yes.
But freedom of speech doesn't mean I abuse the community. I abuse others. I don't do it. Even that Munawar fellow or Munawar Faruqi or something, he has abused the Hindu gods.
Yes.
And he has been very abusive of the Hindu gods. He's made fun of them. He's made fun of the 59 people killed. And you don't do some things. You have to be sensitive. Let him make fun of his own community. Let us see if he makes fun of the holy icons of his own community. What has happened to him? They'll call to, you know what will happen to him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Does he have the courage?
Somewhere, sir, I feel that, these people are trying to push Hindus to such an extent where they finally break, and become
Hindus
violent.
will not break.
Yeah.
Meena, Hindus will not break. We have to stand up for our rights to say we respect the rule of law.
Yeah.
We respect your freedom of expression. But your freedom of expression doesn't mean you disregard our freedom of expression and our rights.
Yes.
You cannot extend to abusing us and uttering lies. See, like Singapore, you defame somebody, they'll take you to court and make you pay heavily.
Yes.
So I think it's very important that somebody takes him to court and makes him pay heavily for that. So he has to pay through his nose. Now, what happened in Bangalore, it was sad when this fellow, Munawar, came here, the police went after him. I think it's very important. But I support that.
Yeah.
It's against my conscience. But for that fellow, I support it because he is not worthy of coming to Bangalore, especially after abusing the Hindu community and making all for fun of everybody's gods. Look, we have to be sensitive to everybody.
Yes.
Matters of faith, you have to be sensitive. Yeah. I'll tell you a story, Meena.
Yeah.
I was in my son's school many years ago when he was a young child, and a bishop came there. And he was talking about Easter holidays and all that, and the celebration. Then he said, the resurrection of Christ and the virginity of Mary is a matter of faith, not a matter of debate. It's my faith. It's not for somebody to debate. You understand? So we have to respect the views. Now, we have our faith. We worship our gods and goddesses. We don't have to seek your permission to worship our gods and goddesses. Just keep away from that. You make jokes about Shashi Tharoor. Who cares? Shashi Tharoor, and what he does, you make jokes about him. Who cares? Nobody will care. Shashi will applaud himself because he likes being made fun of, right?
Yeah.
So why abuse us? Then why talk about one half of India, 50% of India worships the women in the morning and rapes them, gang rapes them.
Yeah.
Gang, who, he must give names who are doing that.
Yeah,
Let him give
exactly.
the names.
Yeah, you
So
can't
I
just
think,
give
these are terrible
statements. Yeah,
things. It just shows the
yeah,
poor quality of these so-called jokers.
yeah,
I've listened to many of these comedians overseas. They don't
mm,
stoop to such a level.
yes,
They don't stoop to such a level. They don't
mm,
make fun of communities, gods,
yeah,
and all that, right?
yeah,
They make fun of some politicians, some people, some nice jokes, and all that.
yeah. So Chandrika is asking, please ask sir, what are his opinions of demonetization? Was it a success or failure? As many people still criticize our PM for it.
My view is very simple, Mina. For 60, 65 years, 70, 65 years, we had the black money problem.
Yeah,
No government could solve the problem of black money.
yeah,
Prime Minister Modi demonetized it massively, 85% the currency went.
yeah,
The only minister, only thing he could have done was, before that, he should have flooded the market with 100 rupee, 50 rupee notes,
yeah,
especially in the rural areas.
mm,
You would have had an idea, I want to do this, but
yeah,
quietly flooded it to make sure
yes,
there's enough liquidity.
yeah,
So there was an economic problem for 2 quarters.
yeah,
Even that IMF said for 2 quarters, the economy was hit. But what people don't understand is, for the black money class,
mm,
it has been such a signal that the black money trading class is reduced the black money in the business.
yeah,
In the real estate, now articles are coming, it says 70 to 80% reduction in black money.
yeah,
The biggest sink of black money in India, in my opinion, was the real estate in Gurgaon and Noida.
yeah,
For the last 7 years, real estate has
mm,
been down in Gurgaon and Noida for various reasons, including lack of bribes and black money. Basically, lack of bribes and black money coming down. So, the black money class
mm,
found ways of putting the black money back into the banks. I heard stories of politicians, I know that's true, I don't want to give names, of calling all the party supporters, giving them money and say, go put 2 lakhs in a bank account, blah, 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 because
yeah,
that exemption was there.
yeah,
So they whitewashed it thoroughly to put it all in the bank so that, the fear was gone. People bought jewelry, all kind of stuff they did. But the sad thing is, those people who have been caught for doing this when informed, they're still not been punished.
yeah,
That is where the government has a problem. They should have prosecuted all those people who put the cash or would have money and made it public, right?
yeah,
They should do that. But I think it had a very big benefit. The use of black money in the economy definitely has come down. And black money class, which are doing that, are now paying the taxes, are now becoming more honest, because we have to create a society where honesty is rewarded,
yeah,
where dishonesty is, not rewarded.
yeah. So, with regards to Omicron, the Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia today said in Rajya Sabha that no cases of Omicron has been recorded in the country so far. And scientists from all over the world have raised concern over the new variant, that Omicron that has been detected in a few countries across the world. Amid the emergence of new COVID-19 variant, Omicron, the international community has raised an alarm over the situation in the world. Scientists from all over the world have voiced concern over the new variant that has been detected in a few countries across the world. The countries have started taking measures and announced travel restrictions in order to prevent the new variant from spreading in the country. So, if it comes as another wave, how will it affect our country?
Well, Mina, I think first all of us have to be cautious. We must wear the mask. We must follow proper process. We must not go into crowded areas, etc. Take precautions.
Yeah.
All of us must have 2 injections, two
Yes.
vaccinations
Yes.
to make sure we are protected.
Yeah.
Now I think about 55-60% have had 2 vaccinations. I hope the rest of them take it. We must look after young people aged 15 to 18. People are going to school also.
Yeah.
For children, it may not be virulent. And from all indications, medical science tells us that this is going to be mild and it's not going to be deadly or going to kill people as much as wave 2 or whatever it is.
Yes.
And since most people are vaccinated, they'll have natural immunity. Even though some say that there are 32, 33 mutations, we don't know vaccines and all that. So I think we have to be just cautious, but we should not lock down the country. We should not
Yeah.
lock down anywhere. We have to be cautious at the airports. And we found, I think you saw the news item, some 50 people went to Netherlands or somewhere else, then they found
Yeah.
they are all infection, etc. So I think we've got to take precautions. And, we got to be careful. That's all I think. Beyond that, what else can you do?
Yeah. But there are people, politicians like Kejriwal, who try to create a panic-like situation.
No, Kejriwal is an anarchist, in my
Yeah.
view, who always tried to exploit the situation to create fear. Remember, last year, if you remember, you can go to the media and find out, Meena. Maybe you should do that.
Yeah.
In the first week of April last year, he said, I've reviewed everything. All hospitals are there. We have enough oxygen, blah, blah, blah. He made a statement. Within 10 days, he reversed and said, no oxygen, no oxygen, no oxygen.
Yeah.
Create that fraudulent movement. Oh,
Yeah.
200 tons, 300 tons, 500 tons, 1,000 tons is not there. And he only never arranged the supply.
Yeah.
What if you're a chief minister who created this fraudulent way
Yeah.
of doing things, right? I mean, he must be exposed. The media is not exposing because they're getting money.
Yeah.
He spent the 940 crores on advertisements in the
Advertisement,
last 5 years.
Mm.
And they're spending advertisement in the school program saying we're going to make entrepreneurs. Big mela is happening there. They're
Yeah.
spending so much money on advertising.
Yeah.
So what do? The media is also quiet. Media can be bought over. You give them advertising, they'll keep quiet. They all know it. We all know it. Correct? And now again he said, I got 30,000 beds. Auction is there. Everything is there. He reviewed. So he'll say, I did it. I did it. If it doesn't become thing, oh, we're all prepared. If something goes wrong, he'll say Prime Minister Modi did it. Because Prime
And
Minister
now
Modi
he's
is going to be
ordering.
blamed for everything, no?
Yeah. And now he's ordering oxygen cylinders from China.
From China.
Mm.
I don't know. How can you import oxygen cylinder? India is surplus in oxygen cylinders.
That's what he
What is
said.
he? What is he trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, no
Thank you.
turkey, no tanky. That's all.
Yeah. Yes. Well said, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your valuable comments. I mean, everybody's really enjoyed the time with you. And good night, sir.
Thank you, Meena. Good night. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you.